Time and time again throughout my career, people were surprised that I was an aerospace engineer, and same to Brittany. And one of our taglines was like, make the uncommon common. When we show up as our authentic self, it reminds students like, oh, if Miss Jasmine and Dr. Brittany,
we can do it too.
Yeah. It's just the really little moments that just reminds you like, okay, we're talking about big vision goals, but it's these little touch points that just like show them that you care.
Welcome to the Shaping Freedom podcast, where we dive into conversations that inspire personal growth, transformation, and clarity in challenging times. I'm your host, Lisane Basquiat. Today, I'm sitting down with someone who embodies what it looks like to lead with purpose and possibility. Jasmine LeFlore is an aerospace engineer. She holds an MBA, she's a nonprofit founder, and community advocate who has carved out a path that defies the limits placed on so many young women of color entering technical fields. She grew up in Flint, Michigan, and went on to earn engineering degrees from the University of Michigan and Purdue, and an MBA from Indiana University. She now leads applied research work at Collins Aerospace and co-founded Greater Than Tech, which is a nonprofit helping girls and underserved youth learn STEM and the business skills that turn ideas into impact. She has been recognized as one of San Diego's top 50 women of influence in technology. Her story is one about identity, access, resilience, and the courage to design a life that aligns with your values. Jasmine brings clarity, discipline, and heart to every space that she enters, and I'm honored to have her here. Thank you so much for coming, Jasmine.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for that beautiful introduction. It's just an honor to be in this space and to share a conversation with you today. So thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. And for those of you who are listening on audio and don't have access to the video, which is on the YouTube Shaping Freedom podcast page, this woman is a ball of light. I met you in person during Soulful Saturdays last month, whenever that was. It feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
And we caught eyes and said hello to each other. And you're like, I'm Jasmine. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so happy you're here. So we had the opportunity to meet. And there, that was the first thing that really excited me about this conversation that we're going to have today. Was how alive you are and how bright you shine. And so afterwards, I'm glad you do. Please do. And then afterwards, when I kind of went to start, thinking about the kind of questions that I was going to ask, I felt I'm so honored to have you here, and so honored to have the opportunity to have you share your story with the folks who are going to be listening to it.
Thank you. I just want to give you a hug right now, because
the hugs.
Honored is felt.
Yeah. You have created and are charting a path, in some ways that feels like a very technical path, right? Engineering and this work that you're doing. What was it that led you toward engineering as a career path?
Yeah. Ooh, okay. What was it? I feel like there were so many things. I normally start off talking about how I lived like near the flight path of the airport. So I just would see planes flying and asking my mother, how do planes stay in the air? And my mom was an educator, early childhood educator. So her question back to me was, maybe one day you'll have a job where you can answer that question yourself.
Wow.
So even before that, I've always been a tinkerer. Like my uncle called me the puzzle wizard when I was a kid. I used to do puzzles with my grandma all the time. So just someone that was naturally inquisitive. I'm still naturally inquisitive. And I think those type of skill sets make you want to build and wonder and create. So I loved school. Math and science was fun. I eventually joined the robotics team. I would say I grew up in a home where my mom and my grandma very much would call me smart and made me feel like I was that girl. Like there was a lot of positive affirmations in my home growing up. And then getting to the path of deciding to do engineering and the experience of becoming an aerospace engineer, that was when I had to learn, despite what the metrics and the type of school I went to and the folks who normally enter those rooms, I was still smart, but in my own way, not in a way that was noticeable to folks who I would say were the gatekeepers of entering those different spaces.
You know, it's interesting. I interviewed Ingrid Best this morning, and part of her origin story was having her mom share with her that someone said that she was a star, and how she held on to that as, my words, kind of her North Star in her career path and the things that she did later. And so I want to stop for a moment to acknowledge what an impact someone helping you to see yourself as smart, as beautiful, as capable, the impact that can have on a person's life and how important it is.
Yeah. And especially at young ages, right? There's science that says the childhood brain is in theta from 0 to 7. So that's where a lot of that identity building and subconscious is being formed and developed. So I think that was my ethos of like, okay, I'm smart. Because that's what I was told.
Yeah. And conversely, when we're told the opposite, what that does to create limitations in a person's life. So you grew up in Flint. What was that like?
Ooh. I mean, it was great. Like, I think it's that story where you don't really know how your city or environment is viewed until you step outside of it. So that said, I mean, growing up in Flint, I had a lot of friends. I did a lot of activities. I was involved in many different clubs and just like a lot of community. It's predominantly Black city. So one of the things I remember growing up is my 4th grade teacher, Miss Walker, who was the first person that told me about Juneteenth. And we had to like remember the continents of Africa. Like she was very Afrocentric looking back. But at the time, it's like, okay, this is Miss Walker. And now growing up, I'm like, whoa, I was exposed to like so much culture at a young age. And a lot of the spaces that I was in was predominantly Black. And unfortunately, the way I grew up in a sense of wanting to achieve aerospace engineering, I felt like I needed to align with people who didn't look like me to help me get there. You know, Flint, Michigan isn't necessarily the place you think about when you think of a aerospace engineer. So stepping outside of that, I feel like I was kind of playing to classism a little bit to figure out, okay, how do I get to this step when I don't know anyone in my neighborhood or in my direct connections that can guide me on that path.
So you mentioned aerospace engineering. When did you know that was what you wanted to do? Because you're speaking of it as if
okay.
At 6, you were like, that's what I'm doing.
I would say at 6, it was like the question, how do planes fly? But I was a part of a nonprofit organization when I was a kid. It was called the Carrera Program, and it was for at-risk youth, and it was all about preventing teenage pregnancies. So they made sure there were activities for, I think I joined it in the 6th grade, and I was in that program to 12th grade. And they gave us a lot of different opportunities about like life skills. And they took me on my first college tour. So that college tour was at the University of Michigan, my 8th grade summer. And I remember seeing the wind tunnel at the aerospace department. And that's when it clicked for me.
Wow.
Like, oh, this is how I learn about how planes fly. I got to go to this school. I got to do whatever it takes to be here.
Oh,
So
wow.
8th grade summer.
Wow. And you knew that was the thing that you were marching toward. Wow. You talked about a few moments ago about kind of realizing or noticing that the people who were in the space that you were looking to work within were different from you. So how did you navigate kind of that choice between kind of fitting in and being yourself, having come from, I'm from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Right. And so I love to ask people like what their place was like, because it's part of our origin story, like of who we are. Like I'm very much informed. Today is very much informed by having grown up in Brooklyn, as I'm sure it is for you, having been brought up in Flint. But you also mentioned that it was a very you had a lot of Black culture, people of color around you, and then having to kind of navigate a different space. So how did you navigate that?
Yeah, I always credit the teachers in my life, whether they are a teacher by education or a teacher as a mentor. So my physics and chemistry teacher, Mr. Johns, he was someone who believed in us and was someone who I think just like saw our light. And when I say our, like all of the students who was a student of Mr. Johns. So, by 8th grade, I knew like, okay, I got to get to this school. And then I'm looking at all the requirements. You got to have this ACT score. You got to take this class and this class. So is this
a high school that you were getting into, or this is you getting at the university?
8th grade was when I realized what college I wanted to go to learn aerospace. But between 9th and 12th grade, I at least knew like the requirements to get there. So you have to take like chemistry. You have to, just all these different requirements. So I had a list of schools I was interested in. University of Michigan was the first choice because it was the #1 aerospace school at the time. And Mr. Johns was just someone who was very like, you can do this. Like I had a whole list of schools. I was super OD when it came to like structure and like, okay, let's make sure we check these boxes. And I had a whole list of schools. I'm like, this school, that school, this school. And I had pros and cons. Okay, this school costs this much. This school is this far away. This school is this. And he just circled University of Michigan, was just like, you belong there.
Oh, wow.
You belong there. And I would say conversely, my advisor at the time, or high school counselor, who was someone of color, and Mr. Johns was not of color, saw my transcript, resume, and, knew I was smart, but I think there's a idea of what type of like environment you need to grow up in to get to a prestigious type of school like that. Okay. So it's this weird thing I remember feeling where someone who looked like me wasn't necessarily an advocate, or maybe trying to protect me. And someone who didn't look like me was like, oh, you got this, no problem. Mm-hmm. So even understanding other people's origin stories as, hey, this is an advisor and their job is to put my career interests, to the best of their ability. And I look at it as now that was what they saw at the time. They just didn't see someone like me achieving and making it that far.
Right. Did that help to get you there?
The advisor,
the kind of pushback. I'm a person. Tell me I can't do it.
Yeah.
You want me to tell me I can't do it, right? So I'm wondering, and sometimes that can go two ways.
I think it was first a little bit of defeat. Like I said, I loved school. I was the kid who loved math and science. I joined the robotics program. I was in an engineering graphics class. I was in an engineering camp. So everything I was doing between 9th and 12th grade was like preparing to be an engineer. So to get to the stage where I'm applying to colleges and submitting applications, and the one person who's kind of the like yay or nay or the support system to do that is like, you should aim lower. So for me to have grown up in a home where I'm told I'm smart, I'm told I'm like worthy,
aim high,
yeah. And then that felt like a backlash, like, okay, maybe I need to reconsider. And so at first it was I don't know, but then it turned into fuel. So that said, I now feel like I'm fueled by that doubt, but when I first had that impasse, it was like, okay, maybe I need to reconsider.
And you didn't.
Yeah. And I would also say I've been able to navigate paths by being inquisitive and understanding what is like the true and real need for a certain requirement, or if it's just like a recommendation based on what people have seen before. And I think in that moment, you know, this is the crossroads between high school and college. Am I going to make it to this school for aerospace engineering? I started figuring out other paths to get there. So I had another person say, well, if you don't make it into engineering, do a cross-campus transfer and then go into the engineering college. So that was a way to like kind of not sidestep, but just find another way.
Find another way, which is important. I appreciate the fact that you seem to be a person who, like, you know what you want and you're going to figure out how to get there. And I think that in a time when people can oftentimes be deterred by a little bit of pushback, or by the energy and effort that it takes to live in uncertainty.
Yes. And honestly, Lisane, like, I think that's who I was, being so laser focused. And now I'm more into like, what am I guided by in the flow versus I got to check this box, I got to achieve this, you know, unlearning a lot of the structure I feel like I've used to be successful. And now looking at things more energetically. What is my truest why? What is my deepest yes for something? More than like, if it doesn't look like that, I don't want it. I used to be like that.
Marshall Goldsmith wrote this book, the world-renowned coach, wrote a book called What Got You Here Won't Get You There, or something. I may have the title botched, but it was basically saying, like, sometimes we have these behaviors that get us to the thing, right? But then you get to a point where you have to do something else to get to that next evolution of your journey. What made you realize that?
I don't know if it was one single thing. I think maybe after 2020 and just, you know, thinking about like power structures and who's making decisions and who is representing certain things. I started unlearning. You know, I'm in aerospace now, a very male dominated field. And I remember early on in my career, there were certain leaders that I wanted to be like. They were very like straight, no chaser, you know, this is mission critical, like just, and I'm like, yeah, I want to be like that. And then I joined a program called Rise San Diego. It's more about leading from within and more about just decolonizing leadership, honestly. And I started unlearning some behaviors that I saw of people in positions of power, and really just started unraveling and thinking about, like, you know, what does it mean to show up as my authentic self? I think about nature versus nurture a lot. Like, you know, engineering is very structured. Aerospace is very structured. You know, you get one thing wrong, a whole plane could just go down.
Impact,
so, you know, the precision and the thoughts of like, okay, this one bolt can just mess up everything. It trains your brain to always highlight risk, always highlight like what could potentially go wrong. And being in an environment like that and starting to learn like, oh, some things can be both and. Some things are more about energy and flow. And oh, by the way, like there's a whole thing called the divine feminine. And like, where does that really show up in spaces like aerospace, you know? So then looking within more about, okay, it's not that I want to be like this particular leader who's like doing all this, more than I want to be in a position of power to support people. And that's more about, you know, when you think about women and the way we lead, it's more about collaboration. It's more about, supporting people from a communal level more than this hierarchical top-down level.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm still in the phase of like, how do you know?
Yeah.
And I would say I'm unlearning what it means to be a leader in a technical space and show up as me.
Next year, we have a series of sessions around through Shaping Freedom, and it's around the idea of how to type A differently. Right? Because I think I was raised by my dad, and so I had a relationship with my mom and adored my mom, but was raised in my father's home.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I learned, I'm also first generation Haitian and Puerto Rican. And so I really learned like strong work ethic and these kind of behaviors that helped me to accomplish some pretty incredible, wonderful things with focus. But one of the things that I observed both during the time that I was in a corporate environment and since in the work that I've done in human behavior is that what falls into that type A bubble and cup has wonderful things, but there were also some things that really move us away from that dehumanizes us, right? Where we start to see ourselves as robots,
as tools.
As tools. That's a great way to put it. As tools. What are you going to do to make this tool do all the things that it needs to do? And I believe that it can be both, being the divine feminine or being led by the divine feminine, being a human, having compassion and empathy and creating collaborative environments can coexist
absolutely
with getting things done.
And
so I very strongly believe in, and we're going to do some more work on that next year, in this idea that we can type A differently.
Absolutely. I would love to be involved with that.
Because it's so important. Hey, it's Lisane. I created Protect Your Peace, a boundaries and accountability workshop, because I know what it's like to feel stretched too thin and how it feels when you're saying yes to everyone else, but feel like you're disappearing in the process. This workshop is your invitation to pause and to come back to you. In just 2 hours, you'll learn how to set boundaries that reflect your values, protect your energy, and strengthen your voice unapologetically. You'll also learn how to hold yourself accountable in a way that builds self-trust and momentum, not burnout. This is the kind of space I wish I had when I was deep in the cycle of over-responsibility and simply just doing too much. So I created it for you. Join me for Protect Your Peace, live or on demand, and walk away with tools you can use immediately to get back in alignment. Click the link in the show notes to register. You deserve to protect your peace and your power. The consequence of believing yourself to be or seeing yourself as a tool is that you lack compassion for other people, but you have to lack compassion for yourself. So it disconnects you from the relationship, the quality of the relationship that you can be in with yourself, because you don't see yourself as a human. You see yourself for what you can do, not who you are.
Yep. And I even think the unresume concept is part of
What is that?
So I did a TEDx talk last year about it's not only the resume, sometimes it's the unresume. And part of that story or that why came from two things. One, I was not a great student in terms of GPA on paper. So a lot of times when you're looking for your first job, they're just looking at your GPA and what internships you had. And I didn't have a great GPA, and I had one internship. And two, what I learned in Rise through our spiral. So basically, I felt that there were things I was dealing with or learning underneath a resume. So for example, I was my third year of college, my grandmother, granddad, and mom passed away.
Oh, wow.
And I took a leave of absence from school. And I remember a mentor asking me about my resume. And I remember thinking, like, I wish I could plan 3 funerals in 3 months and showed up to class without crying on the resume. And, those were the things that don't necessarily by Eurocentric standards say, oh, she's smart, she knows what she's doing.
Right.
But those were real life events and lived experience that are transferable to a work ethic. So that was part of it. And then when I was in Rise San Diego, just learning other people's stories and thinking, wow, I want to work with those people. At the time, I didn't know their titles. I didn't know what they did for work, but just seeing someone's heart and soul and who they are and how they show up, I feel like is a metric of success. So that's where it came from. And to your point about like being connected within, that's a little bit of the journey that I had to do, reflecting on who I am as an individual more than what you see on a resume or a piece of paper.
You ensured that you got support navigating the path that you wanted to go down. And now here you are. You're an aerospace engineer. We're going to talk about greater than tech in a few minutes. And I'm also wondering, what have you done or what are you doing to support yourself? So now you've accomplished some things that you set out to accomplish. It seems like you've talked about unlearning some things and kind of seeing things a little differently and seeing kind of the energetics of things. How do you care for yourself today, and how do you walk the planet?
I think more than ever for me, getting out of my head and into my body is like paramount. I did a lot of activities when I was a kid. One was dance, ballet, tap, jazz, hip hop. So I think once a dancer, always a dancer. And being able to just play a song, dance it out, before I go into a meeting, just to raise that frequency. So moving my body is so important to just, feel, feel better, feel enlightened. Music is big for me as well. So
Me too.
making sure that I'm listening to, I have a whole like high vibes playlist. So that, and then writing. Sometimes I feel like I'm always like problem solving or thinking about stuff. So it feels like a download when I have these aha moments where I just have to like record it, or just express, right? Like, I talk to some of my best friends every day, and I'm in so many different rooms and meetings that I'll just start seeing patterns about things, whether it's with executives talking about innovation or mentoring students, talking about, we have a VR capstone going on right now, or I'm on the school board, so talking about workforce development and skill set. So it's just like all these aha moments will happen. I'm like, okay, I gotta write this down because I don't know if anybody else would have thought this but me. To, get the thought out, or, get something out of my body or out of my mind to let it live and breathe.
Yeah. So you also mentioned navigating being in a predominantly Black area and then navigating other spaces as an adult now. How do you ensure that you stay connected to who Jasmine is? Like, you have you have an incredible resume, right?
Thank you.
And you're in all these spaces and places and having these conversations, and you're a leader in your profession. How do you also ensure that you're filling yourself up?
I think it's a myriad of things. I mean, I think creating greater than tech and being in community, the type of communities that I serve, I'm based in San Diego, but underserved communities, like folks who aren't expecting to be an engineer right away, making sure that I'm connecting with those students brings me back to that like grassroots reality of like, I remember what it's like to be 13 and not feel like I had support to get to the next level, or, be dealing with stuff at home that, really causes you to show up to school in disarray. Um, Outside of that, I'm a big, like I said, music person, but also water. Like, I'm a Cancer sun at least. So, taking a bubble bath, like going into a hot tub or something that just allows me to have flow, like going to nature, right? Like, not that I'm a big hiker, but at least like walking around the Bay and San Diego area, just being able to see like there's more than just my problems and issues. Like, there's a whole,
you're part of
like,
something.
Like we're on a floating rock. Everything's gonna be fine. So being able to kind of zoom out a little bit is important, because I can drill down into like every single detail and every single problem and try to fix every single one. Or I could just look at water and breathe and know that I am a part of a bigger ecosystem.
And I think that zooming out is important. I was talking Antonio, who I spoke with before you, today. We talked about that zooming out, and we were talking about it from the perspective of maps, and how like the paper map, right? And how today everything is
GPS.
It's GPS, but it's also very focused on like this like intense concentration on a very small thing.
Absolutely.
And in doing that, it really takes us away. I believe that it's like, I want this, I want more space, I want more spaciousness, I want more silence. We have to curate that for ourselves.
Absolutely.
And we have to also understand that there needs to be a counterbalance between this concentration into a phone to see where you're going, and the value and benefit of really zooming out.
Absolutely.
So that you can see yourself within the scope of the fact that we're on a floating rock, or the fact that you're part of a city, and to see things from that perspective. I think it helps.
And I'm a millennial, so they say like we're the last generation that connects the physical and the digital. So me working with the youths of today, they are so ingrained in the digital world. So even with Greater Than Tech, like, we started with robotics and just very, physical systems, but now it's more about, okay, what is technology and nature integration looking like? So they do know the difference between like north, east, south, and west, or they know how to grow a plant. And
that's
also,
excellent.
So it's unlearning, unraveling, I'm becoming every day. We say greater every day at GTT. And I think like the lessons and the ahas that I'm learning as an individual will be part of the seeds of GTT and how we evolve there.
Let's talk about Greater Than Tech. What is it?
So Greater Than Tech. So I co-founded a nonprofit with my friend and sister in STEM, Dr. Brittany Wheeler.
Oh, what inspired you to do that?
A couple things, Lisane. So Dr. Brittany Wheeler and I, we were employee resource group leaders for the African American Forum at the time at work. She also works at the same company as me. And at the time so even before that, I think she got an award for something at work, like Diversity Champions Award. And she was the first Black person I saw on our company website.
Oh, wow.
Getting an award.
Okay.
So I was like, hey,
who
girl,
is this?
What you doing over there? And at the time I was living in Connecticut. So she was just on the company website. So we became friends because I reached out, and she's like, oh, like, this could be you too. So we met in person at NSBE. We started doing the African American Forum together. That was a sense of community building and, doing events for like cultural relevance of, Black individuals and career prep. And then we were robotics instructors at a nonprofit called Elementary Institute of Science for middle school girls. So that was also my first time doing community work in San Diego. So we were doing like internal work together at the company. We were doing external work with the other nonprofit. And then we were also in grad school. So I was doing my MBA at the time. She was doing her doctorate in engineering. And I also was the chief of staff to a VP of engineering who was saying that engineers don't know business. So all these little patterns, aha moments were happening for me where I thought about how STEM is great, but there's more to learning about STEM or science, technology, engineering, math than just going to a robotics competition and competing with affluent boys. As well as if you know a little bit about entrepreneurship or a little bit about business, you can also think about creating products or creating solutions using technology. So that was how Greater Than Tech came to be. And we're all about STEM and entrepreneurship for underserved youth, middle and high school. And the idea there is, I think when I was growing up, Mark Zuckerberg and all these people with these big tech companies were kind of the like North Star, try to be like them. And I think we can, but differently, where our youth are being introduced to how technology can change the world for social impact for their communities. And they're thinking about development early on more than just compete at a competition.
Yeah. And who does Greater Than Tech serve?
So middle and high school, underserved youth. Our mission started with girls and specifically middle school girls, because middle school is where girls start forming their identity about their career. Then we expanded to middle and high school underserved youth because we started being asked to do programs. So based in San Diego, but we've done programs or at least workshops in the LA area. And we're focused on emerging technology because there is usually less barrier to entry. You don't necessarily need to go to a 4-year university to learn how to do computer-aided design or design for additive manufacturing. You don't necessarily have to go to a 4-year college for learning how to fly a drone. So finding those emerging technologies that can be workshopped or, even produced for a workshop early on instead of having to go down the route I did to be an aerospace engineer.
So it's almost to drive more efficiency into someone else's journey.
I like that.
Yes. What is STEM the acronym for? You said it before, but I just
Science, technology, engineering, and math.
Okay. So are you just you're working with youth?
Yeah.
Okay. And so what are some of the struggles that those folks that you serve tell you that they're experiencing as they're trying to enter the field? Is STEM considered a field or or trying to enter STEM? I'll just say that.
Yeah. I mean, STEM is so vast. I'm just gonna say STEM field because there's so many different ways to a lot of it. So something as minor as like just transportation to get to a program. So we make sure that our students can join us at the programs, and that's an easy one. Easy in the sense of we know how to do it, but simple funding, isn't always easy. However, when it comes to, I think, the way Dr. Brittany and I show up as our authentic self, I think time and time again, throughout my career, people were surprised that I was an aerospace engineer, and same to Brittany. And one of our taglines was like, make the uncommon common. And I think when we show up as our authentic self, it reminds students like, oh, if Miss Jasmine and Dr. Brittany,
we can do it too.
Yeah. So there's been parents, and I mean, it's just one of those like the subconscious things like you naturally do that you don't realize is a thing for someone. I think one of the parents were like, oh, like it's so cute seeing you and the girls with your nails on working on robots. I'm like, oh, okay. So I think the way we show up allows them to feel seen and like, okay, they seem cool, we can do that. But in terms of like struggles, when we have deeper conversations, and a lot of the time that's through our alumni club, which is the part of GTT that's really more about like that personal development. It's not really curriculum programming. It's like, how can we help the individual girl in the way that she needs? We've had students say that like they're on an IEP, individualized, I don't know what the EMP stands for, but at a at-risk plan at school, and them doing a program with us. We did Girl Meets Cybersecurity last year. That allowed them to have something they wanted to strive for. Like, okay, although I'm on this IEP, I'm seeing how I can get into the cybersecurity field, and like I want to pursue that. Dr. Brittany and I both have a lot of personal struggles in the home. So I think even when we open up and share, like, hey, I had a mother who struggled with substance abuse, like, it almost gives them permission to feel comfortable sharing and feeling like they can strive for greatness, strive for, you know, the careers that they want when they know someone else that looks like them or resonates with them has done the same.
Or just that other people are experiencing the same thing, because sometimes we don't realize that.
Yeah.
And we think it's just us, especially when we're younger, right? And so
Absolutely.
I think the more that adult people can share some of what we've walked through, I think the better it is for everyone.
Absolutely. What
has surprised you about creating a nonprofit?
Oh, surprised. That the work that you do, like, so we're talking about like STEM and technology and, you know, emerging technology, business, entrepreneurship, like that is the basis, but I feel like the work that's really being done is like the confidence and the self-efficacy. I can't tell you how many times like I was in a nonprofit when I was a kid, so I'm having all these aha moments about like, man, Mr. Domino was so sweet and Miss Michelle was so sweet. I know. So like the impact of just like they're in the car with me and we're going to the Maverick Center at UCSD, like, you know, my little 2010 Honda Accord, they're just like having a good time and they can listen to a song that they want to listen to. Like, it's just the really little moments that just reminds you like, okay, we're talking about big vision goals, but it's these little touch points that just like show them that you care.
Yeah. I think it's also that moment knowing that there are people who are willing to connect, you know, in a time and in a culture and society where people feel so disconnected in so many ways.
Yeah. So,
and here's the thing, the beautiful thing is I was thinking about you talking about your experience as a child and these human beings who really, really touched your experience.
Yeah.
And how you're able to give that to some other young person who, you know, a couple of decades from now will be sitting somewhere, you know, talking about their journey and how you and Dr. Brittany were able to help them to get there. That's beautiful work.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's beautiful work.
Okay, didn't mean to cry, but hey, human beings
you're
being human.
We talked about human. You're a human being. You're a human being. Yeah. What do you think the next generation of engineering leaders need?
Ooh.
Besides the technical stuff?
Compassion, grace, and space. Engineering is a very structured field, and I think the idea in which you have to do engineering is not necessarily representative for, I would say, the communities I serve, like what we need. I know I love music. I'm sure I'm neurodivergent in some way. So what does it look like to design space for the folks who are tinkerers, who can connect dots, who may have, you know, some type of trauma or even like
things that they're
different abilities,
outside of the
different
room.
abilities. Yeah. So having space or a place where they can just learn and wonder the way that their brain works, without judgment, without feeling like the only one, without feeling like they have to conform to certain standards.
Yeah.
On top of, there's a lot of tools and a lot of information out there where I feel like they can learn faster and, you know, just figure out what resonates with them most instead of having to follow things a certain way.
Yeah. I think you're demonstrating this, but I wonder, in that space that you work within, what does effective leadership look like today in these technical spaces?
Effective leadership.
Effective leadership.
I would say for me, it's wanting to follow someone's mannerisms, looking up to someone saying, I want to be like that, or I want to learn from that person, or I want to embody who they are. It's not, I would say, the formalities of what I think I grew up thinking what leadership was.
Yeah, because I think that there was a time where like effective leadership would be like time management and being clear about your goals and having a routine that makes sure that you accomplish those things.
I think it's about being human.
Yeah.
Understanding humanity, we actually just updated our core values for GTT, and one of them is start with compassion, soar with integrity. And I think compassion is a big part of it, because typically you don't know people's story or background or why they show up the way they do. And that's a huge part of like why structures are like, when you assume, we get the same results of what we think it is to be successful, what we think it is to be worthy, valuable, this GPA, this resume, this school, this connection, this title. And I guess going back to the resume, like the compassion in which people had to show up a certain way for the life that they were given.
Yeah. All right, can we talk a moment about setting the vibe? If you're anything like me, your space needs to feel good in order for you to feel good. And that's why I created the Shaping Freedom line of candles. It's not just about ambiance, but really about how you align yourself internally. These are more than just candles. They shift your energy. Whether you're journaling, meditating, working out, or just taking a moment for yourself, these scents are curated to ground you, lift you up, and bring you back home to yourself. They also have an 80-hour burn time and scents that are designed to evoke feelings of alignment and internal congruency. And we can all use that. Go to shop.shapingfreedom.com and check them out. Find the one that speaks to your spirit, or buy all 4, and let them burn with intention. For how long has Greater Than Tech been in business?
So paperwork, 2019.
Okay.
I always say false start, 2021. And that's when we really started getting into the community, delivering programs.
Tell me a really great story that you like to tell about someone that you worked with, that you've supported.
She's our OG student because now she's in college and she's maybe going into her 3rd year. Her name's Jackie, and I met her through Elementary Institute of Science. So we were doing a workshop there in 2021. It was a 1-week robotics camp for girls, and she was a lab assistant. So Greater Than Tech is all about like STEM and entrepreneurship. So we're always adding that business, like do a pitch, think about your customers or your beneficiaries. And she was a lab assistant. So she was like teaching middle school girls how to code. And at the time, she was probably 14. So I'm like, wow, like you're already so advanced. And then she did our Girl Meets Drone program. And that's when she started like pitching. And that was when she went from like, oh, she went from I want to do robotics to I want to have robotics company. So she has this, like, she already had this idea of engineering in her heart. But for her to start thinking about like startup entrepreneurship now is like, wow, she actually can do it. Yeah. So now she's at Columbia studying mechanical engineering. Like I said, she's such a light and someone who already had that edge, but definitely 1st generation college student, like someone who's going to change the trajectory of her family tree. And, there's been many moments where we were able to like support her. And I think we like bought her first business casual clothes, like for interviews. So it's just little things like she did the programs.
Mm-hmm.
She got into the school, but there's still like little elements of love that we can give her and show that we care, and even share our story about what it's like being in engineering programs as probably one of only women of color.
Mm-hmm. And what is your advice to women of color who are stepping into these engineering programs? If there were like 3 pieces of advice that you could provide.
So I know that my journey in engineering would not have been possible without the other Black girl who was in my aerospace program. Her name is Sydney Hamilton. So we were pretty much like, Thelma and Louise trying to thug it out through aerospace engineering, and studying together, doing flashcards, like finding a network or somebody that supports you and you can be yourself with, and understand like, okay, this is how I learn. I got to sing a song to figure out how to get this equation right. Also asking for help, finding mentors who resonate with you, who can keep it real with you. A story I'll tell is my first job offer I got was actually for an analyst position and not an engineering position. So I asked a mentor who was working for Boeing at the time, and it was a Boeing analyst position at Boeing. So, with someone who I didn't have the best GPA, didn't have the best resume, I'm thinking, okay, it's Boeing. Maybe I should just take this analyst position. And that person said, no, Jasmine, you're an engineer.
Yeah.
You have an aerospace engineering degree.
Yeah.
You should be doing engineering. So someone that can give you permission and unlock and give you a real answer for how to show up.
Okay.
And then I think third, learn how to, I don't know if I want to say self-soothe, but like, how do you maintain your own mental health, your own mental sanity? Being able to zoom out, being able to take a break, take a walk, touch grass, like just have some type of mechanism that allows you to release yourself of all of the things going through life and just be.
Yeah. What's something that you're learning about yourself right now?
Learning about myself. I love to learn. I think more than ever, I'm learning that I already have the answers.
I love that.
I am someone who, I think big picture, a lot of my career has been a lot of technical breadth. I work very closely with subject matter experts. I think I can look at things from a bird's eye view often. And although I may not be like in the details so specifically, actually we know what I'm talking about. So trusting my intuition about things, trusting my brilliance, like reminding myself I am smart, even if I don't have the answers right away, and giving myself grace to know that answers will arrive. So
yeah, well, having the answers and smart aren't always, don't always correlate to each other. Like one has nothing to do with the other.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is there anything that you're intentionally letting go of?
I feel like there's so many things. The one thing I would say is just other people's expectation of
That's
me.
a good one.
I think early on in my career, there's this level of like assimilation that I was doing, where it's like, I gotta wear the blue collar shirt like everyone. And like, I remember when I first joined the company, it was, I got feedback to like not wear my hair natural or curly. So being okay with showing up how I dress, I'm a professional if I don't have on the funny little blue collar shirt, and just letting people react to me. I think I've spent a good amount of time almost anticipating different things, risks, like, oh, I gotta go this way because they're gonna go that way. Like, now it's not reacting to what I think is gonna happen, more than like I can control what happens next.
Yeah. That takes trusting in yourself.
Absolutely.
As you were making your way here today, what did you want to share? What did you want to talk about?
What did I want to talk about?
What did you want to talk about? If there was anything where you were like, I really want to share this to the folks who are listening. I want them to know this about me, about my
Lisane,
perspective.
I don't know if I had that thought at all.
Okay.
I will say that I truly believe that we create our own reality.
Me too.
And thoughts become things. So maybe I'm questioning how things have manifested in my life based on my mindset going into things. So to go from I was told I was smart from 0 to 7 to 14 to 22, I felt like I wasn't, and how that imprints on you subconsciously when you're constantly battling that like identity of like, wait a minute, am I smart? I don't know. So just like being able to stay in frequency, stay in alignment to your higher self on who you want to be versus like what these negative what people tell you who you are. So really just practicing staying in that affirmation of myself and gratitude for who I am, and just staying in alignment with who I know myself to be.
How do you define joy? I've been having that conversation a lot lately with people. In my mind, there's a difference between joy and happy.
Joy for me is like any laugh. I like randomly write down stuff, and I remember writing a list of tiny joy for me. And a couple things on my list is like driving past the speed limit with my music turned up. Like that's a form of tiny joy. Like I love music. Dancing in the mirror, a long pedicure that comes with a foot massage, bubble bath with music and like just
moments.
Joy is.
What does joy feel like to you? It's that.
It's that, and it's laughing.
Yeah.
It's smiling. It's.
What is a boundary that you have learned how to enforce? Either with yourself or with other people, professionally, personally, whatever.
I don't know if it's a boundary more than I know that I can tell people what I'm doing versus me asking for permission.
I love that for you.
Dude, so there was this book called Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office.
I've heard of it. I haven't read it. Is it good? Okay.
I think I read it my first year in engineering, and one of the things she said was, don't ask your manager if you can take time off. Tell them you're taking time off and ask them if that's an issue.
Yeah.
So now I feel like I approach situations with partners, managers, whatever, like, I'm going to do this. Let me know if that's a problem.
Yeah.
They will let you know.
Yes.
So is that a boundary?
In
more
a way,
than just like
it's letting a person know what you want, which is, in a roundabout way, it's like, this is what I want.
Yeah.
And I'm being very clear and upfront about it versus asking for permission to even ask. Asking for permission to put your wants on the table.
Exactly. And I used to say that all the time, like, ask for forgiveness, not for permission. But now it's just like, no, I'm going to tell you, and you're going to let me know if that's a problem.
Yeah. What is one thing that you want to be remembered for?
I would say just being a good human, someone who was compassionate, loving, cared for others, cared for the environment, someone that is referenceable when it comes to how people want to show up. I have this whole little like art installation in my office. It's the Black Cabinet, but it's my Black Cabinet, which is based off the Black Cabinet of Franklin D. Roosevelt's Black Cabinet, which was spearheaded by Mary McLeod Bethune. She's one of my favorite historical figures.
Okay.
And I have this whole compilation of like, who are the 45 Black leaders that I would want to listen to?
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
interesting. That's an interesting
So
exercise.
Tupac is one of them for me.
Right? He's so smart. He was so smart and authentic and real and courageous.
So he said something like, I may not be the one that's going to change the world, but I'll spark the brain that will. Something like that. I'm probably butchering it. So I think it's that type of impediment where like it's seeds being sowed by way of how I showed up in my lifetime, and it inspires someone to show up as the plant that they're supposed to be.
Yeah. You plant the seeds. Yeah. Because that's the plant that actually comes up. It's the one that you're supposed to be. I like that. If you weren't doing this work, which path might you explore? Or might you have explored?
I used to joke and say that it's not that I wanted to be like a AR or a producer. I wanted to be a song perfectionist.
What is that?
It's basically an AR or producer, but someone that listens to a song before it's released, or it's like that final
I didn't
tweak.
even know that was a thing.
I'm like an ad-lib person for some reason.
Okay.
I feel like my favorite part of songs are ad-libs.
Okay.
And sometimes I feel like there are more ad-libs that need to be added to songs or just like another bridge. So music is a big part of my life, and I probably would be some type of producer, AR, music perfectionist person that's just listening to music and providing feedback.
Wow. What is one thing that you want the next generation to know about resilience and access and about creating a life that truly feels like your life?
I think we have to start with joy.
I agree.
I think the way in which I was taught to be successful was like the get the work done, work hard, like you gotta work twice as hard to blah blah blah. And I'm not gonna discredit what our ancestors had to do to be who they were and allow us to be on their shoulders. I will say that the frequency in which we orient ourselves, not fear but joy, can be how you start.
It opens so many doors, both the professional, physical kind of door, but also the doors inside of yourself that help you to get to where you want to be.
So now I'm singing songs, I'm listening to my music, I'm blowing bubbles, I'm having joyful reflection before I start work.
Good for you.
So I would recommend the next generation start with what is that joy for them before they go into I gotta do all
the
these
rest of the world.
Yeah.
How can we support you, Jasmine?
Well, one, you're supporting me by offering this opportunity to have this conversation. So thank you.
You're welcome.
An easy way is follow greaterthantech.org or Greater Than Tech on any social. And honestly, we're in a time where people now no longer want to support our people. Call it DEI, call it whatever, but there's a lot of impact work that is being reduced because some people in positions of power think they're not worthy. So funding is mission critical, but I know whatever happens, we'll still support our students the way we can.
That's powerful.
Thank you.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Lisa.
I want to thank you for the generosity of getting yourself to LA to have this conversation.
Thank you.
You're in San Diego, as am I. And I know it's a trip. And I want to thank you also for being such a role model for young professionals everywhere, right? Whether they're in aerospace, engineering or not, there's something to the trajectory of your path and journey that can be used to help and inspire and guide other young people who are sitting at that point of decision making. You know, like, I want this thing. How am I going to get there?
Yeah.
And what I got out of your story is, first of all, the determination, the clarity about who you are and about what you're filled with.
Thank you.
You know, the wisdom, the smarts, the intelligence, and all of that, the ability to navigate rooms and spaces, whether they reflect who you are, you know.
Thank you.
Your skin or not. There's also something to be said for really having that gratitude and appreciation for the professionals that helped you to get here, to where you are, and then to also turn that around and give that back to other young people who are in the shoes that you were in. I also see a willingness to be a lifelong learner and to grow and evolve and to check yourself and to check yourself out.
Thank you.
And also the ability to integrate self-care and connecting to nature and remembering that you're a human being standing on a pile of floating rock, as you put it. Right? And then also to step into this field that you're in with such grace and such humanity, you know, such a connection to your humanity, to your humanness. Because people see that. And somewhere there are young people who are watching the work you're doing and the way you're showing up, and who can also see beyond your accomplishments, of which you have many. Right? You got it. You've done a lot of things, right? You've done a lot of things. And what I'm really tuning into here is the what you've done, yes, which is very important, but it's the how you're doing it from a perspective of being of service.
Thank you.
Doing it from the perspective of caring about those other people who are watching you and who may need that inspiration, that encouragement, that help.
Yes.
You know?
I received that.
Yeah, I'm glad you do. Thank you.
Like
Thank
energy.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm so glad that you took the trip. Thank you for that. Please, for those who are listening, this is a very interesting time for nonprofits and for people and organizations who have chosen service as their part of their life journey. And a lot of the funds that were available are right now being held back. And I think it's one thing to know that, to talk about it, to be upset about it, to be outraged about it. And all of those things are absolutely appropriate. And what are we going to do?
Yeah.
What are we going to do when we happen to be people who are part of this chapter in this country's history? What are we going to do? So if there's a way to support a nonprofit that you believe in, a cause that you believe in, like Greater Than Tech, looking to support the next generation of professionals within the STEM space, do that. If there's something you can do, do it. And so I encourage those who are listening to follow this organization, follow this incredible leader. And if you can't help directly, share it with those folks who can. Because I think it's going to take us. It's going to take human beings, human to human connection, human to human compassion and support for us to make our way through this chapter and all the chapters.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? So thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Those of you who are coming back, I appreciate you. Those of you who are new here, I appreciate you. And please, again, follow Greater Than Tech, like and share this episode. And that's it. Thank you so much for listening. Love and peace.
And thank you, Lisane. Thank you for curating this opportunity, movement, shaping freedom. I mean, wow.
It's important. It's important. First, you have to realize that you're free, right? It's so important. Yeah.